Hello everyone, this is Satish Kumar. I am here with the lesson for Indian history. In this lesson, we are going to learn about an ancient history topic, that is Jainism. Okay, see, uh, in the Indian history, it was around 6th century BC. There emerged a large number of religions in India. Okay, apart from the Vedic religion, after the Vedic and um, later Vedic period, no, during the time of the 6th century, it was dubbed as the age of religion because numerous religious sects emerged in the middle Gangetic plains. Okay, and we hear as many as 62 religious sects has emerged. Out of these, two religions became very famous and a major one. One is Jainism and another is Buddhism. And in this lesson, we are going to learn Jainism. In the next lesson, I will give about Buddhism. Okay. So, what is the reason for the emergence of so many religions and especially Jainism and Buddhism? We need to know the causes. Questions like this could be asked. Okay. See, during the later Vedic period, the Varna system was deeply entrenched in the Indian uh, in India. Okay, and this Varna system created a lot of divisions. We know what is the Varna system. That is, there is a Brahmana at the top, the Kshatriya at the second, Vaishyas third, and the Shudras fourth. Right? That is the Vedic system, Varna system. It was, and this order they emphasize in the Vedic period, that is based on birth. This Varna they based on birth. Originally, it was evolved during the Vedic time as a people who are doing the professions. Okay, but later during later Vedic time, they made it as a based on birth. So a person who will be born in the Brahmana. So this created a lot of tension in the society. Okay, in fact, the Brahmanas, naturally being at the top layer, no, they demanded a lot of privileges. Okay, the Brahmins claimed because they are in the higher status, they demanded a lot of privileges, and this was resented by the Kshatriyas. Okay, they resented the domination of this class, and in fact, both Mahavira and Buddha belong to the Kshatriya clan. Okay, and this is one cause, but there is a second important cause, and that cause is the major cause for emergence of this new religion. Okay, the second cause is the introduction of new agriculture system in the northeast India. Okay, around modern day Bihar, Orissa, those three regions, Bengal, and those regions. See, until people got settled there, a large number of people came and settled there. Those areas were thickly forested, the northeastern India, right? What happened is, at this time, the iron was introduced around this time. Iron was first came to India around this time. Okay, and because iron was there, they were able to clear the uh, forest land. Okay, by using iron. In fact, it was also enabled them to practice agriculture more. Okay, and this iron use agriculture, no, it required use of bullocks, that is use of bullocks. And it also needed an animal husbandry like cows and other things, right, for this agriculture economy to survive. But what was practiced in the Vedic practices, there is the killing of cattle for uh, doing Vedic practices. And the Vedic practices, numerous cows and bullocks were killed. No, this was not liked by this new agriculture. In fact, they wanted more bullocks and cows. So this as one reason. Okay, for this agrarian economy to develop, there need to be killings to be stopped. So again, this group also wanted something change. Okay, then see, as I said earlier, there is a four order for the Varna system. First is Brahmanas, second Satriyas, third Vaisyas, right? See, the Brahmanas are higher class, priestly class. Kshatriyas are the ruling class. In fact, they get taxes to rule, and the taxes are paid by the peasants. In fact, most of the agriculture work are carried by the Vaishyas, the third group. In fact, they are the taxpayers mostly. Okay, and the Shudras are actually to serve all the three people. In fact, they are put at the lower class and they are treated as the untouchables. Okay, see, the Vaisyas, they actually during this time, because right, this agriculture developed, right, because they were able to develop this agriculture, and because at this time there was also one of the earliest coins was um, released. In fact, we have the earliest coins that are found in India is belong to this period. That is the Punchmark coins. In fact, these kind of questions will be asked by censors. Okay, the Punchmark coins was the earliest coin, and this belonged to the 5th century BC. Because of this reason, during this time, the 5th century, the Vaishya's trade increased naturally. Okay, uh, and they also the trade increased, their agriculture increased. They also lent money, the Vaishyas. Okay, but the lending is actually forbidden in Dharma Shastras, in the Hindu system. Okay, in the Vedic and other system. So the Vaishyas naturally they wanted to lend, no, and they also wanted to improve their social status. Their social status is at the third level. Okay, and they are treated as they wanted. They are becoming powerful because of the trade and other things. Okay, so they wanted a religion which would raise their social status, and they found this in Jainism and Buddhism, because both Jainism and Buddhism in the initial time oppose the Varna system, that is the Brahminic system, and they also oppose what is known as in fact they preach non-violence. Because non-violence was preached, no, what happened is the non-violence preach led to uh, stop of war. When the war is stopped, no, what it will happen is there will be more trade, and Vaishyas naturally being traders, no, they preferred Jainism and Buddhism because it will help them to practice trade. Okay, uh, so these are all the reasons Vaishyas supported Jainism and Buddhism. Okay, in fact, they lent a lot of money to them. This led to the growth of Jainism and Buddhism. Okay, so the Vaishyas support was also there. The Kshatriyas are the resented Brahmanas, and the Vaishyas supported them. And there was also another cause, that is during this time people started living life, started owning properties, living a luxurious life, and this resulted in people showing like wearing different cloth. See, if suppose somebody is wearing costly cloth, another person will be seen as inferior. So there is a resentment to this pri- private property and show off. That is, there is a huge social inequality. Because there is this social inequality, that led to miseries among masses. In fact, only few people will have the private property, and they will make jealous of this masses. So the jealous, the masses, no, they actually resisted this. In fact, they wanted some form of simple life, and Jainism and Buddhism offered them this. Okay, so they also supported Jainism. So as a result, the Jainism and Buddhism grow in India. Okay, this is the causes. In fact, this is how you have to study for civil services. Okay, mm, all these facts are basically in your NCERT books. You don't need to study anything extra. Okay, so now see, Jainism generally, people, if you are, anybody asks the question who is the founder of Jainism, they will naturally say it is Mahavira, but it is not Mahavira. Okay, Mahavira is not the founder of Jainism. Mahavira was born in 540 BC. In fact, even before Mahavira, uh, there were lot of people in fact, Mahavira is considered as one of the major preachers of Jainism. Okay, I will tell you what about. First, we will look something about Mahavira. In the next slide, I will tell what is Mahavira and how it came. Okay, so Mahavira was born in 540 BC at a place called Kundagrama. So his parents are his father is Siddhartha, who is a Jatrika chief, actually a Kshatriya, and his mother is Trishala, again a Kshatriya woman. So he's a Kshatriya, and he lived like a princess in his early life, and he married a princess named Yashoda, and he even had a daughter. Okay, some basic facts about Mahavira. But at the age of 30, he left home. Okay, and he wandered. Okay, for a long time. In fact, he actually wandered naked. Okay, he lived a aesthetic life. Okay, he even did not. He fast for a long time. Fast means he don't take food for a long time. He even didn't drink water. Okay, he practiced the most severe kind of this kind of thing, penance, what is known. And he was actually mocked by people for his behavior while he was meditating, or while he was wandering like naked. People throw stone at him. They ask, they let the dog to chase him. They throw foods and other things on him, right? Everything, but he was a very calm man, so he didn't bother about any of these things. So he practiced this penance for a long time, and during this period, he also had a friend named Kosala. Please remember this point. Okay, this Kosala, um, actually, Mahavira and Kosala is said to have a lot of discussion about this, and they had huge differences. In fact, later Kosala left Mahavira and he founded a new, what you say, a new sect, religious sect called Ajvika. Okay, in fact, that is also a question. Kosala was, in fact, these kind of questions will be asked. Kosala is the contemporary of like that, right? In fact, who so please remember this part, a very important point, because he is also a founder of another religion, Kosala. Okay, so at the age of at 13th year, after roaming for 12 years, Mahavira at his 13th year at the place called Jirimbi Gramaga under a salt tree. Okay, please remember this kind of point. At the place is Jirimbi Grama, and it is under a salt tree. So Buddha, it is right? So we have to remember this kind of thing. Buddha got in the Bodhi tree. He had the sal tree, okay, and he attained what is known in Jainism as Kevala or Kaivalya, which means Nirvana, uh, that is highest spiritual knowledge. So he was able to conquer misery and unhappiness. So he came to be known as Kevalin or Jina or conqueror of this misery and unhappiness. And he was also called Mahavira the great hero. Okay, and then for the next 30 years he preached his religion to his disciples and others, and finally he died at Pavapuri at the age of 72 at 468 BC. So please remember some basic points of Mahavira. He born in 540, died in 468, born at a place called Kundagrama, died at Pavapuri. He attained Nirvana at Trimbigrama. So these are all some of the points, right? Anything related to Mahavira you could answer. Okay. Now I said no. See, Mahavira is not the founder of Jainism. Okay. In fact, the Jainas believe that Mahavira is not the founder, and he is one of the preacher. In fact, there are 24 Tirthankars, or the religious preacher of Mahavira, and the first preacher is the founder of Jainism. The first Tirthankar, his name is Rishabha, okay, and he is supposed to be believed as king of Bharata, that is the first Chakravarti of India, okay. So Rishabha is the founder of Jainism, and then after Rishabha there was some 23 Tirthankars. So Mahavira is the 24th Tirthankar, and he is the last Tirthankar, okay. Before Mahavira, there was another Tirthankar who is known as the 23rd Tirthankar, okay, who was the immediate predecessor of Mahavira. His name is Parshvanatha, okay, and this person is very, very important because he was so famous as Mahavira, okay. In fact, there is an account about him in Kalpat Sutra, a book written by Bhadrabhagu. Okay, please remember these kind of points. These are all very important. Kalpa Sutra written by Bhadrabhagu. Okay, in fact, this describes about him, Parshvanatha. In fact, Parshvanatha is the person who taught his disciples 4 great vows. Okay, that is a major thing to be practiced in Jainism. The 4 great vows are not to injure life, or ahimsa, non-violence. Okay, the second is not to lie, or speak truth. Okay, you should not lie or speak truth. The third is not to steal. Okay, and the fourth is not to possess possessions or property. Okay, property. So this 4R was already there. So Mahavira add only one thing to this list. He added brahmacharya. Okay, he added brahmacharya to this list. So Jain should be brahmacharya. Before Mahavira, there was not such thing. So Mahavira wanted the monks, the people who practice Jainism to hold brahmacharya. So this is the addition of Mahavira. So please remember these kind of points. These 3 names are very important. The founder Rishabha, the 23rd Tirthankar Parshvanatha, and Mahavira 24th, and the last Tirthankar. So Parshvanatha is the person who taught his disciple 4 great vows. Mahavira added only the 5th vow. Okay, please remember these kind of points. See, Parshvanatha, he asked his followers to wear some cloth. Although he was against private property and other thing, he wanted to maintain some decorum or something like that. He asked them not wear some cloth upper and to cover the upper and lower portions of the body. But Mahavira asked them to completely discard cloth. Okay, and because of this reason, later on there emerged division in Jainism, in which the one group called Swatambras, who wear dress. Okay, they were called, who actually practiced what Parshvanath said, and they were called as Swatambras, who wear white dress. Okay, and the people who remained naked, no, they were called as Digambras. So as said by Mahavira. Okay, please remember this point. In fact, this difference you should always know. Shvedambras are white dress wearing people, Digambras are people who are naked. Okay, see, uh, Jainism did not deny the existence of God, uh, but placed them lower than Jina, that is the conqueror. Okay, in fact, they were not against God, but they felt that Jina is more important. Okay, similarly, they did not condemn the Varna system. In fact, Buddhism condemned the Varna system. Okay, so Jainism differs in that. Mm. So, what Jainism said is, a person is born high or low because of his sins, and by living a virtuous life, no, that person could attain liberation. That is the teaching. So, in this life, you have to live a virtuous life so that you will liberate yourself. That is the major teaching of Mahavira. Okay. So, what is Mahavira's teaching? According to Mahavira, liberation can be achieved by three essentials. Okay, he preached, no, liberation can be achieved. He said that there are three essentials of life. One is there should be right belief or right faith. The second is right knowledge, and the third is right conduct. And he termed these three, and these three came to be known as three jewels or three ratnas of Jainism. Okay, and by following this and practicing it, one could attain liberation. Okay, and he also laid great emphasis on ahimsa or non-violence. Okay, in fact, it is Mahavira's teaching, and in fact, Gandhi was inspired from Jainis this ahimsa concept. In fact, Gandhi took it from Jainism. Okay, uh, so they Jainis, they gave a lot of importance to ahimsa. Okay, in fact, they went to very extreme. That is, it is see, some people say eating animals, no, because it is killing animals, so they don't eat animal related food. They are veg because of that. Okay, but the Jains said no. They said that even plant, water, and other things are all have life, and we should not consume that. So they at times went to great length to torture themselves. Okay, in fact, Mahavira himself tortured himself so much. Okay, in fact, there was a follower of Jainism called Chandragupta Maurya. He actually tortured himself to death towards his end. He is a king. Okay, uh, so as a result, Jainism prohibited practice of war and even agriculture. Okay, and this resulted in they don't kill things, no. So finally, they don't practice agriculture also, Jains, and as a result, they become only traders and other mercantile activities, which are even continuing even to some Jains that are today. They will only involve in trade and mercantile activities. Okay, so Mahavira tried to spread Jainism. For this, he formed a organization, an order, uh, in which both men and women are admitted. Please remember this point. It is a small difference with Buddhism because Buddha didn't want women into his forum, and later on after Buddha they let women inside. Okay, but Buddha during his time did not allow. But Mahavira admitted both men and women. Okay, but the followers of Mahavira, his disciples were very less, 14,000 people, and this was because the Jainism did not was popular or big as like follows as big as Buddhism. It is because it did not criticize the existing Brahminical religion. Okay, hence it did not attracted the masses. Okay, as Buddhism, it did not criticize the Brahminical religion. See, after Mahavira's death, somewhere around sometime in the 400 BC, in the land of that Magadha Empire in the Middle Gangetic region, there was a famine. Hence, some Jains, they moved towards south. Okay, the people are led by a person called Bhadrabahu. Okay, to south in a place called Saravana-Belagola. In fact, it is modern day Karnataka region. Okay. In fact, along with Bhadrabahu, the king Chandragupta Maurya, the Mauryan king Chandragupta Maurya, who came. Okay. And if in fact Chandragupta Maurya who came there, and he is the person who died by committing suicide. Okay. So the famine in that region led these people to migrate to Karnataka region, Saravana-Belagola. But later, after some 12 years, they returned to the Magadha, that region. But when they returned, some people who stayed there, they stayed under another person called Talabagu. Okay, Talabagu. And they found the people who migrated to Saravana-Belagola, when they returned to the home, they found that people who stayed were actually living a luxurious life. They were not practicing the strict teachings of Mahavira or the Jainism. So they criticized these people as heretics. Okay, and there were differences between both of them, and this led to some fight related to how to be. So as a result, to solve the issue, there was a Jain council. So the first Jain council was convened in Pataliputra. So, okay, this was the first Jain council. Please remember this point. And the aim was to code the teaching into, compile the teachings of Jainism, Mahavira and others. Okay, but this council was not attended by the people who went to south, that the Bhadrabahu group. Okay, and the people who stayed in the north, they came to be known as Shvedambras, and the people who went to south came to be known as Digambras. Okay, and in this Jain council, the teachings of Jainism was compiled into 12 Angas. Okay, but there was still some differences. To sort out this, another Jain council was took place in Vallabi. Okay, and this resulted in the final compilation of the 12 Angas and along with 12 Upankas. Okay, please remember this kind of point. Okay, this is the major text of Jainism. Okay, 12 Angas and 12 Upankas. So now we'll see the spread of Jainism. See, during there was Lichavi group who practiced the Lichavi kingdom. They practiced Jainism. Chandragupta Maurya, okay, was one of the biggest patron of Jainism. King Karavela of Kalika dynasty, okay, In fact, Jainism also spread to Tamil Nadu. In fact, around first century BC, like that, right? In fact, um, in the old books, no, if you study old books, no, you will find that even Thiruvalluvar, his writings add a lot of chains relate. Uh, there are a lot of what do you say? It is related to Jainism related thing. So that's only in the old books of history they will say Tiruvallur belonged to Jainism, but now they have took it out. Okay, that is a different story. Okay, but Jainism did not spread as fast as Buddhism, and it did not went outside India. Okay, even in India it was not as popular as Buddhism during that time. Okay, but despite this, Jainism is prevalent even today. But Buddhism spread to other countries, but it lost its root in India. It is today not disappeared in India. Okay, why Jainism declined? Okay, so there are some reasons. Okay, so it had to compete with Buddhism and Hinduism. In fact, Hinduism later revived. Okay, the revival of Hinduism was also one of the reasons for decline of Jainism. And after Mahavira, there were not such great teachers as Mahavira preachers. Any religion will be popular as long as the teacher, the charisma of the teacher. There were no popular preacher as Mahavira. Okay, and Jainism also didn't get that much of protection from later rulers like Ashoka, who supported Buddhism. They were not like that. Later rulers didn't support Jainism. Okay, and it did not spread to other places. Okay, these are all the reasons for decline of Jainism. And what are the contribution of Jainism to so we have to understand Jainism was one of the first serious attempt to uh, solve the evils of Varna order and ritualistic Vedic religion. It was the first thing. Only after this Buddhism, okay. First Jainism was the first serious attempt to mitigate the evils of Varna system. Okay. In fact, the earlier Jainas, no, they discarded Sanskrit language and they adopted Prakrit as the language and they preached this language, and this was well received by the masses. Okay, in fact, please remember this language Prakrit, which was popularized by Jainism. Okay, and their religious literature were written in a script called Artha Magadir script. Okay, and again this will also be asked like a question format. Okay, see, Jainism was also initially not image worshippers, but later on they started worshipping Mahavira and all the 23 Tirthankaras. Okay, so later on they became image worshippers, but during the time of Mahavira and in the earlier time they were not image worshippers. This was also true to Buddhism. In fact, in Buddhism also people later started to worship Buddha as God. Okay, so they made some beautiful architecture, art and architecture, right? But Jain art is not as rich like Buddhist art, but they did contributed some art. In fact, their art and architecture during the medieval time also were a very important thing. Okay, so this is the thing about Jainism. We saw what is Jainism and other things. In fact, some of the most important points are here. You don't need to learn lot of things. This is a very small topic, and for GS you need to learn the important points and the important concepts. In fact, the causes I said, no, Those are all some important concepts which are all very well written in the NCERT itself. So please learn once in the NCERT, and if you could add something extra, add something. That is up to you. Okay. So with this, I end this lesson. Thank you. Bye.